Hey, this is Jay Kumar, the BassBlaster, and this is your Seafoam Top 5 of the Week in Bass Fishing. Number 1. I'm back. That's right, the Alabama Terminator Dustin Connell is back. Talking about the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour Tournament, the first one of the year on Toledo Bend, Texas. He's back because 2 years ago in 2022, he won an incredible 3 tournaments, Bass Pro Tour tournaments, in the same season. Stage 3 at Smith Lake, Alabama. Stage 6 at Cayuga Lake, New York, where he kind of outed the smallmouth fishery there. And Stage 7 at Mille Lacs, Minnesota. Then last year, when the Bass Pro Tour changed from every fish counts to the best 5, Dustin had an okay year, several top 20s, which is good, but not close to his 2022. But this year, now that the Bass Pro Tour is back to every fish counts, he's back too. Now, Toledo Bend's bass were still in a wintertime, early pre-spawn, chasing bait around kind of phase. So everyone, all the guys knew going in that scoping was going to be the deal. Now for Dustin, that meant doing exactly what he practiced all fall and winter for locally, fishing small swim baits or Damiki rigs and using Lowrance Active Target with the singular focus goal of winning the Toledo Bend tournament. And that's what he did. His 2 main baits were a Rapala Crush City freeloader, which is kind of a Damiki bait, and then also a bladed jig trailer. And the other one was a not even out yet bait called the Rapala Crush City Mooch Minnow. That Mooch Minnow is smaller and was for clear water bass, while the freeloader was he used in dingier water or maybe a little down deeper where he needed a bigger profile. The jig heads he used were VMC hybrid swim bait jig heads and also a tungsten version of that head that also isn't out yet. And by the way, Jacob Wheeler, who finished 4th in this event and designed these baits for Rapala, fished the exact same baits. Just again, everybody knew that scoping and using that little Damiki rig would be the deal in this tournament. But anyway, it's every fish counts again, and DC is back.
Online.
Shell door back online.
Number 2. All right, I gotta shout out Rapala's Crush City line of soft plastic baits. They launched the brand last year with 5 new Jacob Wheeler designed baits, and I believe the plan for the foreseeable future is to launch 5 a year. Anyhow, before anyone knew anything about these baits or even the brand, Jacob went out and won the Guntersville Bass Pro Tour event last year and outed the freeloader, the Damiki use of the freeloader doing it. That bait ended up becoming available to us regular fishermen after the iCast show last year. And now we just saw his bud Dustin winning the Toledo Bend Bass Pro Tour on yet another not yet available and new Rapala Crush City soft plastic, the Mooch Minnow. I mean, 2 major wins on 2 new baits 2 years in a row? I mean, that's pretty dang impressive. Yes, Rapala sponsors 2 pros who are fishing really hot and are really good at that Damiki technique. But hey, remember when Kevin Van Dam literally cranked in win after win, it seemed like? I bet Strike King did pretty good from those. All right, anyhow, props to Rapala and Jacob for designing baits that win. I'm winning. Number 3. Jumping over to the Bassmaster Opens, the first one of the year, a real cool story. Scott Martin won it on Okeechobee, his home pond, bigly. He led it every day and ended up with over 90 pounds for 3 days, and I believe about a 22-pound winning margin. Amazing, but it was even more amazing than that for Scott, because he won it exactly where 33 years ago he stood as a teenager watching his dad, Bassin legend Roland Martin, win the 1991 Bassmaster Florida Invitational in Clewiston, where Scott grew up around Roland Martin's marina. Not only that, Scott said that when he saw his dad win that deal, that was when he decided he might really just make a run at this bass fishing thing. That's pretty cool, and Scott wasn't the only one feeling emotional there up on that stage. Scott said he dominated not because he knew some secret honey hole on this lake, and besides, the whole lake is way different than it was last year. It's because he read the fishing conditions and he found something no one else did. Cattail clumps that were flooded over so you couldn't see them, but his Garmin LiveScope could. He said he kept casting into the clumps to try and find clean spots. And when he did find them, drag it through there with nothing hanging up on the bait, he'd power pole down and fish it repeatedly, dragging his baits really slow on the bottom through those clean spots. His two primary baits were a Guggen Bandito bug and a Guggen Lunker log. Here's some more Florida boys singing about what Scott felt. Lynyrd Skynyrd, one of the best American bands of all time, man, no doubt. Number 4. So with forward-facing sonar, of course, being a hot button topic, let's take a quick look at how it played in these first 2 major tournaments. Casting to suspended or near the bottom fish was the absolute deal at Toledo Bend, with those fish basically still being in a schooling up winter-like pattern. Dustin and almost everyone else was fishing that way because they all figured it would be won that way. So was forward-facing sonar a big factor? 100%. These guys were marking fish with it, and we're talking about fish that were either chasing bait, around bait, or cruising, and they were casting to the fish to get them to eat, which sounds way easier than it is. Dustin even said that he stayed away from the deep fish he knew were there because it was too hard to hit him on the head with the first cast, meaning being efficient, he couldn't be efficient, and because also of the depth in that sonar cone width at that depth. So it ain't easy, man. Now Scott used it as well, but pretty much only to find the cover he was fishing, those submerged cattail clumps. He did say he did pitch to a few fish that he saw with his forward-facing sonar and did catch a few that way, but it absolutely was not his main deal. In other words, forward-facing sonar was a factor in both wins, but obviously in different ways. Again, for Dustin, it was all about casting to fish he saw because they were not relating to any cover or structure, they were just in open water. And for Scott, it was pretty much the opposite. Now, if all that talk about forward-facing sonar makes you like this,
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
You're about to feel better. Number 5. Last weekend we had a couple more tournaments, a little lower on the food chain, but still good ones with great sticks. And both were won with primarily shallower water power techniques, it sounds like. So there's still hope, man. First, Georgia's Will Harkins won the NPFL on Logan Martin, Alabama, mostly cranking a Strike King KVD 1.5, the silent version. Now, since it was a 1.5, obviously you know he was fishing shallow. He also caught a few on a 3/8 ounce Legacy Tackle finesse jig around brush. Then over on the other side of the country, California's Nick Wood won the one bass tournament on Lake Shasta, California. 3 of his 4 baits were power fishing baits, a line through Osprey swim bait, and a D&M Lures chatterbait and spinner bait. So every tournament is not going to be won using forward-facing sonar, especially if the conditions and the fish say, nuh-uh, don't support it. Either way, when it comes to bass fishing, remember this:
that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
That's right, man. Catch them how you want. That's all I got for you this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Seafoam. Go to BassBlaster.com or .rocks and sign up for that juicy BassBlaster email. See you next week. God bless you.